Hi everybody, in this video we're going to be looking at how to take your reference pictures for the colored pencil portrait unit. So a review of some of the tips that we saw in the introductory PowerPoint. Um, Number one, you want to take many photos and then just delete the ones that don't come out well. So for your photo references, you want to take them from different angles. You want to move away from the walls a couple feet so that you get some added depth. You want to reduce your exposure on your camera. And again, if you're using a cell phone, you can do that by holding your finger on the subject, the face, and then dragging that little sidebar down a little bit to reduce the exposure. That's called exposing for the highlights. You want to avoid using flash. I have some examples coming up of what flash looks like, and it really doesn't do the photograph or the subject any favors. You want to take your photographs from not only a straight on view, but you also want to look up at the subject, look down at the subject, have them turn their head to the side, and just try to get some photographs from different points of view. And then if you're using an iPhone, use the portrait mode, and you'll see in some of the slides coming up that portrait mode really does a great job of blurring the background, which is very helpful for using as a drawing reference. Because a lot of times when you're doing a drawing based on a photo, you don't want to necessarily have all of the focus be pulled to the background. You want it to stay on the subject. So a good way to do that is to blur out the background, and the portrait mode does that for you. So I ended up using myself as my portrait model. You can certainly use anybody in your house. You can take pictures of your friends. But just keep in mind that I just use myself because I'm the person who's available all the time for me to use as a model. So artists use themselves as a subject a lot when they're practicing technique because they have that person available all the time, whether it be through photograph references or by looking in a mirror. So I took a few with flash, and I'll show you, what happens here. So with flash, if your subject is wearing glasses, you're going to get a really strange glare, and also it's going to wash out the skin tone value. So you're missing a lot of those deep shadows, and you're getting some really strange highlights on the face where they really wouldn't naturally be unless you're getting a bright light exposed to that part of the face. So avoid using flash. So taking selfies without a flash, you get a little bit more of a natural skin tone, which is going to be important later when you go to mix your colors to create your skin tone. So these are just two examples of, just boring selfies, no expression really, no real change of angle, just head on, and they get more developed as we go through these different examples. So using portrait mode was a tip that you saw in a video by Cody Jensen. And portrait mode really does a great job of blurring the background and giving your subject the attention. So with these three, these are using portrait mode. Again, one that's zoomed in, one that's further back, and then one that's more at an angle with a head turn. And then two more, again, using portrait mode. You can see the one on the left over here. There isn't a lot of blurring happening because it was taken too close. So because I was photographing myself with the camera just flipped around and trying to kind of guess where I needed to press the button on the screen, it's not getting the right depth effect because your arm needs to be extended more. So with the one on the right, you have that nice blurry background because, my hand was further away. So taking unusual angles, I hate profile pictures from, a side view, but they do create some interesting drawing opportunities because it's not that typical proportion, straight on, kind of mugshot look. So looking up, looking to the side, having the head turned, gives you some more opportunities to kind of play around with proportions. Feel free to smile in your pictures. Drawing teeth is a good challenge. So if you're somebody who's advanced in your drawing skills, you might consider having your mouth be, a big grin, and drawing teeth and lips and having the skin get, pulled as you're doing a smile. Two more examples of just unusual angles, an up view, and then one that's, the gaze is kind of off to the side. You can play around with expressions. It doesn't have to just be a straight face. Like I said, smile, look really arrogant, look like you're having fun or you're being goofy. And those can be interesting as drawings as well. So once you've taken many, many pictures, I took about 25, you want to go in and then select the ones that you think are the best. So I have two kind of like contact sheets worth of photos here. Looking through your photos, you want to just decide what's the best for what you want to draw. So number one here, I liked that the gaze was a little bit, coming from the side, looking on. And then the last two, which I'm probably covering up with my Screencastify box here, are zoomed in, and then one that has that really nice depth effect going on. So once you've taken your photos and you've kind of whittled down the ones that you think are terrible or you don't like, choose your favorite 3, and then we're going to turn those into thumbnail sketches. So here's the 3 that I picked based on those 25 photographs. So to create your thumbnail sketches, you want to begin with a rectangle that's going to match the size of your finished piece. That's not to say that you want to draw it the same size as the finished piece, but you want to have it be the same aspect ratio. So if your final paper is a 9x12 with 9 horizontal and 12 being vertical, then your thumbnail wants to be a reduced fraction of that. So if it's a 9x12, then you want to reduce that to maybe 3 inches by 4 inches. So you're taking your common denominators and you're making sure that they're going to sync up with what the final rectangle shape is going to be. Next step, when you've got your rectangle mapped out on your paper, you want to then block in the major shapes. So with the major shapes, you're looking at the background versus the subject. So in the first image here, it's a zoomed in view. So my background is actually creating its own negative space shape. So if I can start out by drawing that shape, then I know what I have left to fit everything else into. So it kind of breaks it down into manageable pieces. From there, because I'm wearing glasses in this picture, I began by placing the top and bottom of the frame and drawing the diagonal that the glasses are sitting on. That gave me a place to put the eyes in relation to how close they were to the bridge of the nose, how long the nose should be compared to the mouth, and it just kind of broke it down into different steps. So that's how I got the final sketch for this one. So you'll end up with 3 thumbnail sketches, and some of these are more successful than others. I don't think any of them really look like me in the end, but that's fine because these are just thumbnails. So with thumbnail sketches, you're really thinking about how things are going to look on paper. It's also a great chance to try out drawing the features before you have to draw them larger on the final paper. So of these 3 thumbnails, you'll pick your most successful, and that will be the one that you draw on your final paper and then add colored pencil to. So in my case, the most successful is the center one, and that's the one that I'll be doing in a follow-up video showing you how I take it from a thumbnail into a finished drawing. Stay tuned.